Hello and welcome to my webinar. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Today, I'll be talking about an HR policy and the acts or policies regarding that HR policy in two different countries, specifically in India and Canada. So, before starting, what is HR? HR stands for Human Resources. It is the department in charge of identifying, screening, employing, and training job applicants, as well as managing employee benefit programs. The name was coined by an economist named John R. Commons in his book The Distribution of Wealth, which was published in the year 1897. There are several policies that come under HR like sexual harassment policy, at-will employment policy, leave and time off benefit policy, compensation, attendance, and punctuality policy, and many more. So it is a very vast yet debatable topic. So to narrow it down, our agenda for this webinar will cover only one HR policy, specifically sexual harassment in India and Canada. So let's have a look at the roadmap. Our roadmap will cover sexual harassment policy, types of harassment, harassment policy in Canada, the NBHRA and OHSA Act, harassment policy in India, Indian Penal Code 1860. Yeah. So before proceeding further, what is sexual harassment? Would you like to answer?
Sexual harassment can be like talking someone's about someone's body or clothes, or might be touching someone without someone's consent.
Right. An author named Bolin in his book Sexual Harassment in the Workplace, which was published in the year 2005, defines sexual harassment as it is a form of workplace sexual discrimination. Some examples of sexual harassment are unwelcome sexual approaches, solicitation for sexual favors, and sexual behavior aimed towards a person based on gender. In other words, sexual harassment is unwelcome remarks, gestures, or behavior of sexual nature that causes fear, embarrassment, discomfort, or shame on someone, excluding unwelcome contact with sexual parts that are sexually assault. The intent of the person doing the act is not important. It is the negative effect of the action that make up sexual harassment. Non-sexual bodily parts are touched, for example, unwanted massage, hand holding, light grazing touches, etc. Putting pressure on someone to engage in sexual activities, especially touching non-sexual body parts, or using sexual, vulgar language to refer to someone. Even stalking is also considered harassing a person. So let's talk about the types of the sexual harassment. There are three types of sexual harassment. First is visual, which means using gestures or body language. This includes making rude noises or crude gestures, exposing or touching genitals, including public masturbation, taking photo of a person without their consent, staring or looking at someone in an unpleasant sexual way. Sexual. Second is verbal, which refers to using vulgar language. Some examples of this are talking about a person's body, clothing, sexual orientation, continuing to ask for a date or sex after someone refused, pressuring someone for sexual activity. Third is physical or in simple touching. As the name suggests, touching someone physically comes under this category. Some of the examples of physical harassment are following, stalking, blocking, standing too close, and touching even when it is not necessary. So the terms used to describe sexual harassment are a little complex. So to form a better understanding in simple, let's have a look at the video shared by Amaze.org on YouTube.
Hello? It's you again. Gosh, this is the third time today. No, I don't care if this is my once in a lifetime opportunity to get the Sucker 3000 vacuum cleaner. Please, just stop harassing me. Sexual harassment is a type of bullying intended to hurt or intimidate someone. It can include making sexual jokes, comments, or gestures to or about someone, spreading sexual rumors in person, by text, or online, writing sexual messages about people on bathroom stalls or in other public places, showing someone inappropriate sexual pictures or videos, touching, grabbing, or pinching someone in a deliberately sexual way, asking someone to send you naked pictures of herself or himself, pulling at someone's clothing, and brushing up against someone in a purposefully sexual way. If you are being harassed, don't blame yourself. The idea that someone was asking for it because of something they did, said, or were wearing is false and unacceptable. It often can be helpful to start by telling the person doing the harassing to stop. Let him or her know that this behavior is not okay with you. If that doesn't stop the harassment, don't just ignore the behavior. Usually, ignoring it won't make it stop. Instead, tell a trusted adult about it. Telling someone sooner leads to faster results. You should keep a record of the events that have happened. That way you'll have them if your school or family has to take legal action. Remember, no one has the right to sexually harass or bully anyone else, no matter what.
All right, so this was the video shared by amaze.org. Now let's talk about sexual harassment in Canada. For the past several months, sexual misconduct concerns have been at the forefront in North American workplaces. For years, federal human rights legislation has safeguarded against discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender. Harassment is frequently covered by provincial occupational health and safety legislation, providing workers with additional protection and imposing duties on employees. Sexual harassment is handled under various provincial and federal legislation in Canada, and it has been examined by several courts, boards, and committees. For example, sexual harassment is addressed explicitly or implicitly under the Charter of Rights and Freedom and the Canadian Human Rights Act, the Canadian Labour Code, the Criminal Code, and appropriate provincial legislation. Now let's talk about the New Brunswick Human Rights Act, in short NBHRA, which recognizes sexual harassment as a form of discrimination in the workplace. The following definition is included in Section 10 of the NBHRA. To sexually harass implies to make vexatious sexual comments or behaviors that is known or should reasonably be known to be unwelcome. The NBHRA's Section 10 further states that sexual harassment by an employee or representative may be seen as an employee's activity. The OHSA defines sexual harassment as engaging in a course of vexatious comment or conduct against a worker in a workplace because of sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, where the course of comment or conduct is right or ought reasonably to be known to be unwelcome, or making a sexual solicitation or advance where the person making it in a positive or to confer, grant or deny a benefit or advancement to the worker and the person knows or ought reasonably to know that the solicitation or advance is unwelcome. But sometimes it is seen that some people don't refer to these rights. Sexual harassment, like any other type of sexual assault, has the potential to be traumatized for those who are subjected to it. For example, an article written by Natalie Pressman at CBC News in the year 2021 shows that how Rachel Hanson, a Parks Canadian employee who faced workplace harassment, still don't go to job and how the victim still remain working in the same organization. So this was all about Canada and its policies in respect to sexual harassment. Now let's take a dive into Indian working environment. When we talk about Indian culture, the sexual harassment policies make a shift towards women. In the year 2013 in India, a law was passed that aimed to provide women with protection in the workplace. The Act attempts to safeguard women at work. As a result, sexual harassment of a woman on the job is illegal. Furthermore, legal actions can be taken. For example, Section 354A of the Indian Penal Code 1860 specifies a variety of penalties for this infraction, including 1 of 3 years of simple to severe imprisonment, fines, or both. The Delhi High Court specifies the following prerequisites for the ICC's foundations and operations. Members of the International Criminal Code (ICC) must be neutral. They must not have any personal knowledge or interest in the case and must not be associated with it in any way. Members of the International Criminal Code must not agree with any of the parties involved. There should be no reason for prejudice. Members of the ICC must have impeccable qualifications if they agree or disagree with either party in proceeding with the proceedings, and the ICC will support, advise, and support it in a fair and impartial manner. That requires an independent member to do. An article written by Nasreen Sultana at mint.com shows that the sexual harassment of women at workplace, that is Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013, mandates listed companies to annually report the number of sexual harassment cases and the steps taken for redressal. The results were noticeable. Companies, or I would say giants like Wipro and TCS, who had 125 and 86 complaints in the year 2020, recorded a drastic decrease in complaints to 43 and 27 only in the year 2021. And the similar trend can be seen with other companies as well in the future. For example, HDFC decreased to 47 from 52, and same goes with other companies like State Bank of India, Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, and others. So that's all from my side. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Yeah, I have one question.
Mhm.
What exactly is the difference between the two nations?
So sexual harassment plays a significant role in any developing or developed country, whether it is Canada or India. Both nations have severe legislation in place to address this issue. But the only difference I have seen in this is that the Indian penal law lacks some changes, such as men's rights protection. If the harassment is committed against women, the government has a number of harsh rules in place. However, due to its high context culture and vast cultural variety of customs, it struggles to promote equality and treat everyone equally. On the other side, Canada adheres to the principle of equality throughout the country, making no distinction between genders, law, customs, or caste. Everyone in Canada has access to the freedom and a diverse environment.
Oh, thank you. That clarifies my question.
Thanks a lot for the question. And these were the references I have used for the presentation. So that's all from my side. Thanks for coming to the webinar and thanks for sticking till the end. Thank you.
Thank you.